Hello YouTube, this is a July 2019 Post-Banlist super budget Salamangreat deck profile for Yu-Gi-Oh! So like the videos that I've been making recently, this is supposed to be as budget as can be, so no cards like Signet Mining or even Solemn Strike or Judgment, the last of which is now a $5 card because it was removed from the limited list. So this deck's consistency was hurt with two of the most important cards being limited, but still playable, still quite good, so let's begin. Starting off, we have Triple Spinny. So Spinny is the card that special summons itself from the graveyard. You can also discard it to modify the attack of a face-up monster in the field, which is of note if you're playing Violet Chimera, which I do. So Spinny is just a reliable special summon from the grave to help you get your board a little bit bigger, so you can go into something like a Sunlight Wolf. Maybe you normal the Foxy, special Spinny from the grave. You have a Rage set, you have a Roar set, something like that. Pretty solid board. Definitely one you want to play at 3. And then another one you want to play at 3 is Foxy, which is your Pot of Duality. And there are a fair amount of Salamangreat cards in this deck, so I mean, pretty high chances that you'll excavate at least one of them. Just a really strong normal summon effect, probably the best normal summon of the deck. So one Gazelle, this card is now limited, just shows how good it is. I mean, it dumps any Salamangreat card, so you could dump, yes, the monsters, Spinny or Jaguar, but also any of the spells or traps, primarily Roar and Rage, which I find myself sending to the grave a lot because you can get them right back with your Sunlight Wolf. So one Falco, this is the other way to get your spells and traps back. Maybe something Foolish Burial is a good way to send this card to the graveyard easily. It's just you don't always have access to the Sunlight Wolf. So one Jaguar, you only need one of this card because you can use it multiple times, but it special summons itself from the grave to a zone that your lake monster points to. Also replenishes your extra deck by shuffling back maybe something like a Sunlight Wolf, which you do sometimes need a 4th copy of. So we have one Mole. This is a special summon, a free special summon, but it's from the hand. You could play something like Backup Secretary, but I like Mole a little bit better because it is a Salamangreat card. And then we have Lady Debug for our non-Salamangreat monsters, which is a strong normal summon 2, in addition to Foxy, searching a level 3 or lower Cyberse monster from the deck. But it also works on special summon 2, so I do play that Monster Reborn. So good for this card. And then Flame Buffalo, which I only play at 1. Some people play it at 2 or even 3. But you don't always have a Cyberse monster in the hand because there are so many spells and traps and hand traps. So it's not guaranteed that you'll have that card to discard. But if you do, then it's good draw power. And then I also play a Barrier Statue with the Inferno, which was going to come out in the structure deck but ended up not. A pretty solid Floodgate in monster form with attack strength. I mean, playing against the right deck, it can be useful. Obviously, if you're playing against Salamangreats, then side it out. So hand traps, pretty much the ones you'd expect. Triple Veiler, this is the best budget hand trap. In addition to being just a very strong effect negation, it is also a monster with 0 attack. So with a Heatleo, you can make your opponent have one of their monsters have 0 attack equal to the Veiler. So pretty annoying play that can sometimes be a big play. So 3 Ash Blossom as well. So I don't normally include Ash Blossom in my budget profiles, but because this is the Salamangreat profile, most people who have this deck probably have Ash Blossom too. This is probably the best hand trap. I mean, Droll is arguably better in searching-oriented, longer combo plays, but Ash, I think most people would say is the best. So spells, Double Sanctuary. I run 2. Some people play 1. Some people play 1. Some people think 1 is enough. But I like 2 for the grind game and for longer duels, because if they banish your Sanctuary, it can be hard to recover from that because you do want to be reincarnating. So double Shared Ride. I took out Desires because I didn't want to banish my 1 Gazelle, so I needed some draw power, and this card can load up your hand if your opponent is going for multiple searches in one turn. So double Cosmic Cyclone, which is great in the mirror match because you can banish that Sanctuary or any of the spells and traps at the cost of 1,000 life points, because those spells and traps can be recurred easily with Sunlight Wolf. So great in the mirror match. So just get these out of the way. 1 Circle, which is now limited. This card is like a better Rhoda because it is a quick play and it has an additional effect of protecting from monster effects. So it does make sense that it's limited. 1 Will, which is your soul charge. Sometimes your opponent can just scoop if they see that you have a reincarnated Heatleo and you bring back 3 Salamangreats from the grave, and then you can go into Link monsters, go for a big push. So really strong card. Foolish Burial. to send your Falco or your Jaguar or your Spinny or even Foxy to the grave. Monster Reborn to bring back anything. Pretty much a more versatile will, but a less overall powerful will. Dark Hole for your budget Raigeki. Upstart Goblin for your 39 card deck. And then the last two are Super Poly and Fusion of Fire, because I do play Violet Chimera. These are basically Polymerization, which can use cards from either side of the field. I only play one Super Poly, even though it is not limited anymore, or semi-limited, because it's not a Salamangreat card, so it's inferior to Fusion of Fire in that regard, because with Foxy you can't excavate it. So traps, double Roar, and double Rage. This may seem like a lot. With Desires it really wasn't a lot, but even now I think it's okay, because one Gazelle, it's harder to reliably dump these cards to the graveyard now. So you want to see at least one of these in the opening hand. I mean, they're such deadly cards. Rage can pop up to 3 cards if you have a reincarnated Helio, so activating that on the end phase is super critical. And then Roar is that Omni Negate, that Judgment pretty much. And then last 3 traps, 2 of them are Floodgates, a Rivalry and a Gozen Match, so all Cybers, all Fire, except for, you know, Lady Debug. And then Solemn Warning, so no strikes, no Judgment, because this is budget, but this is still, Warning is still a very powerful card, negating, what I find myself negating most is the normal summon, which can really stop the turn in its tracks. So extra deck, 3 Balinks. I play 3, some people play 2, but I do run 2 Sanctuaries, so I like having 3. Just gets you your Sanctuary pretty much, but also is a good card to just go through multiple of, because you can have them in the graveyard for your protection against battle and card effect. So 3 Sunlight Wolf. Kind of surprised that this card wasn't semi-limited, but this is your way that you recur spells and traps from the graveyard. Probably the best Salamangreat extra deck monster right here, and it does actually have a use. Most cards that point up are just detriments to the card, but this card, if a monster is normal or special to the zone that it points to, then you can recur a fire monster from the grave, so you can actually get back your Ash Blossom in this way. And then 2 Helios. This card is really annoying for the opponent because it's not a hard once per turn, so if you go into multiple, you can shuffle back spells or traps, shuffle back spells or traps, pretty much a better heavy Storm Duster. Also, you can make, like I said, you can make your opponent have 0 attack. So it actually doesn't banish the card from the graveyard, so every turn you can make your opponent have 0 attack. Really annoying. So some more extra deck monsters, non-Salamangreat. Nightmare Phoenix, which is just a staple. Just not much explanation needed for this really powerful monster that pops spells and traps. For the other one that points for the extra linking strategy, which I am kind of going for, I'll just set it up right here. Update Jammer and Honeybot. So Update Jammer goes with Transcode Talker. It could be like that. But anyway, Honeybot, I have it in here because sometimes I bring it back with the Transcode Talker, but the Update Jammer Transcode Talker combo is the budget Boral Sword. I mean, Transcode brings back one of these monsters, and then when they're co-linked, they can't be targeted. All of them gain 500 attack. If you use Update Jammer usually as the material for Transcode, then this card can attack twice. Just super high damage right here. And like I said, extra linking strategies possible. And then 3 more monsters, 2 Violet Chimera. So I do play this card. This is probably an optional card to run. You could take this out and take out the fusion spells, but and instead of these cards, you could put in something like a rank 4 or a Nightmare Cerberus or any kind of budget link. But you know, this card can be good. Fusion summoning is not the most reliable extra deck strategy, but it does do massive damage. I mean, if it's reincarnated fusion wise, then you can make your opponent's monster have 0 attack, and it can also gain to double attack if this card battles a monster that you modified, usually with whose attack you modify, usually with Spinny. And then finally we have a Mirage Dahlia. I only played 1 Mirage Dahlia because I only played 1 before, but I don't find myself needing a second one. But you know, with 1 Gazelle, fewer level 3 monsters, and it actually is pretty cool. And not only does it special from the deck, so it's just obviously very strong in that regard, but also gives you an incentive to use it as link material because it bounces a card, a monster your opponent controls, or a monster on the field. So instead of just leaving it dead on the field, or even using it as link material normally, or any other XYZ monster, or any monster as link material, this card actually gives you a bonus for using it as material. So pretty cool. So that is the deck profile for Salamangreat's super budget, entirely budget, July 2019 post-ban list. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.